Hi, everybody. I'm here with Shally Steckerl. We're talking recruiter enablement. This is part two. First one, we talked a lot about technology and sourcing and things like that. We're going deeper into the specifics of recruiter enablement. So I want to find out from you, Shally, what we should be doing to put things right into the hands of recruiters where they need them. And I'm talking about job advert copy, Boolean strings,
Yep.
all of those things that they just need to be able to try and access. So, like, what have you, how have you seen it done well? Have you seen it done badly?
Yes, I've seen it done well and I've seen it done badly, but I've never seen a system that was designed specifically for it. I've seen it done badly many times, more often than not, and those examples are pretty easy to explain. Here's the perfect storm. When you join, you have an email account. Maybe you use Google or you use Outlook. If the company uses SharePoint or Microsoft Office or 365, then you have your Outlook, and then you have your SharePoint drive, and then you have your OneDrive, and then you've got your Teams meetings, and they don't know how to use all of that stuff. So they end up trying to either put everything into a folder or whatever, and it becomes a disaster pretty quickly. Microsoft Teams is really kind of one of the solutions that allows you to integrate everything if you're really using it correctly. If you have Teams, you can have channels for conversation. You can have published SharePoints and folders and drives where you put all your assets, right? And tracking documents and everything. But a lot of people don't know how to use it. And there are some concerns around sharing things or not sharing things. And, so access and trust and privacy. Plus, not to mention that there's a mess. Then you've got your email, you've got your text messaging. Slack is another one where you can also integrate a lot of, the Slack has Canvas, it has the ability to connect your OneDrive or your Dropbox, etc. But inevitably, there'll be OneDrive and Dropbox and Slack, or Teams and Dropbox, or Teams and Drive, and so you end up having to figure out, especially if it's an online drive, you spend a lot of time having to figure out which folder is shared with you or isn't shared with you, or finding them because they're not always searchable. So you have to go around and ask people, hey, what folder is it? Who owns that? I need to ask for permission or get invited because it might not even be visible. And then you've got LinkedIn groups, and it just goes from there. Where I've seen it done well has been with Teams, where it was really actually a channel, and they had favorites bookmarked, they had files, everything, and it's all there. Trainings happen there, meetings happen there, notes are transcribed there, everything. It still needs to be searched though, and that gets tricky because people don't know what's in there. There's no catalog, there's no table of contents still. Yes, it's all in one place, but there's no directory, right? So that's where I've seen it done well, but not exceedingly well. My favorite way to do it, which of course is the best way in the world as well, right? Is to use start from some kind of table of contents. So with a SharePoint, start with a page that is the index page that points to everything. There must be an individual that maintains that. That must be an individual responsible for owning it, right? If you don't have Teams or Microsoft, you don't have that, then you want to use, you can use a private Start Me page. I use Start Me, and that's what I did on my last team. It was a password protected Start Me, so you can be invited, but even if you don't have the password, you can't get in. Or even if you don't have the password, you can't get in. Yeah, once you go on that page, though, you'll see all the sections: tools, documents, meetings, the calendar. So it allows you to build essentially a SharePoint page with even files and uploads. You do have to pay for the premium version if you want to have some of this extra, like within, if you've ever seen a start page, there's like a window. If you pay the $9 a year or whatever, that window can have tabs. And that's really key because tabs allows for three-dimensional organization. I don't know where it was that I learned somewhere along the line that humans can really only conceptually, navigate with ease when the items are limited to no more than 8. So if you have 8, whatever it's called on the left, you have 8 rows and 8 columns. That's like maximum capacity. So I have my start page in 4 columns, and in each side of those, columns, there are sections, and each section has 4 tabs at most. So that gives me a good degree. And now all of those could be links to meetings, links to note documents, etc. So what I did is I started with that, and then I built a little one of those windows that had your user guides, right? Like how to use Gem, how to use Workday, how to use Greenhouse, how to open a rec, how to close a rec, how to tools that are approved, tools that are not approved. List of browser extensions, all that stuff is in there. And most of it is either a document, Word document, SharePoint, Google Drive, whatever, but they're all linked from there. And I also put a link to the start page on every document. So it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's a document or a spreadsheet or whatever, there's a link back to, here's where this came from, and a footer that says, for questions, contact whoever the owner is. But as sophisticated as that sounds, and it's actually simple to create, as sophisticated as that sounds, you do have one page that has like the table of contents. It still doesn't really bring everything together. And what I don't like about it is it doesn't launch things. So it may have links for web applications like your Greenhouse or your Workday. So that you can launch from there. But there's not a lot of other, like you can't launch applications. You can't not necessarily create like automated workflows. So that's where something like Teams comes in, where you can actually have a form that says, I need a seek out account. Fill out the form, hit, and then that goes to an approval process that's created by Microsoft. And those widgets can be from there, but the page is literally a static page. So 2 problems. You can't really launch anything from there other than just links. And it is not dynamic. It is still static. Someone must monitor and edit. That's the best of what I've seen, though.
Shally, there's a lot to think about in this. Final question. What proportion of teams do you think are actually focusing on this as an initiative or a subject that we can enhance?
My gut says it's less than 10%.
Yeah.
But what I think is happening is many teams know they need this. This used to be called center of excellence in a lot of circles. Many teams know they need this. However, things change so fast that they might have had a center of excellence, but the person who created left, or the sponsor left, and so you have all of these changes. I think we need to start from hi, welcome to the company. This is how we share things.
Yeah.
So literally an onboarding, start with an onboarding document that is your first email for your first day on the job. That's an email that says, here are the things you need to do. Sign up for this, sign up for that. Start with that, and then have somebody always be in charge of that, because organizations forget very quickly. So I think a lot of companies think they do it, but they do it very disorganized. And a few companies, to answer your question, a few companies care enough about this to realize that this is actually going to be a long-term problem, that no matter what, if you're a leader and you're planning ahead, you need to plan for when you get promoted or move on or whatever, and not leave your team in the lurch by abandoning whoever it is that's the center of the organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if you get this right, your ability to supercharge the performance of your team is magnified.
And ramp them up if you need to hire someone, if you need to bring in a temporary resource for covering somebody's medical leave. It takes. I got this down, Adam. I got it down to 1 week, but that included a welcome email, and that included a series of calendar items that was put on that person's calendar that said, do this week, today, do this today. So it was literally a checklist, an onboarding checklist that included access to these, to the start page and things like that. But that's the best I could do is 1 week. And that's a whole week of time that is, I don't want to say wasted, but is invested or disappears and is non-productive. And that's the best I could do. I think in some organizations, it's a month before you
Yeah.
even know what are the different departments and who does what where. And
Yeah.
and I'm not even talking about knowing it well. I'm talking about just knowing how to navigate.
Yeah. Shally, great to see you again. Thanks for your time. Thanks for giving us your comments on this subject, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Always a pleasure, man. All right, take care.